So you're very welcome back. If this is your first time on the channel, do not forget to
like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell, and if you're back with us again, thank you.
So what are we watching today, Danielle?
So today, James, this is part 2 that we're watching of the 9/11 Operation Yellow Ribbon from Gander, Newfoundland. As we said before, the video is very long, so we do have to split it up into parts. So the last video, if you haven't watched it, we basically finished up on, they were telling us about the air traffic control having to basically go anywhere else other than America. Either go back to Europe or go to Canada, and this is kind of where we're at now. So
if you're not this far with us already, go back and check part 1 out and then come back to us here. Let's watch this together. Let's go.
Gander, Air India 113, we go to Toronto. Air India 113 Center, negative. You must now land at Gander. Turn right heading 320. Roger, turning right heading 320.
Flight paths must be recalculated in 3 dimensions, accounting for speed, direction, altitude. Some planes are too heavy to land and must jettison fuel. The risk of collision is ever present. This is an actual radar tape from that morning.
oh my god, so many.
Now you're starting to turn them toward Gander.
Yes, we got the word, of course, and we had to heel them all northward into Gander, St. John's, and Stephenville. Some of them knew there was activity going on in Kennedy, and there was a crisis in American airspace. Some of them didn't. We were telling them, look, you got to land. And they're saying, no, we're going on to Kennedy or Dallas or wherever. They said, no, you're not.
In the air, as they learn the shocking details, captains worry their own planes could be carrying hijackers, forcing many to hide the truth from their passengers.
Our captain came on the PA system and announced that we had a slight mechanical problem, something to do with an indicator signal or something like that. We were going to have to put down in Gander to have it repaired.
Shirley Brooks-Jones is a retired fundraising administrator for Ohio State, returning home from Frankfurt, Germany, on board Delta Flight 15.
Once we got parked, the captain came back on the intercom, apologized to us for the ruse, and said actually the equipment was fine, but there was a national emergency in the United States.
It's so terrifying.
Yeah, I'd be frightened there.
One has crashed into each of the World Trade Center towers in New York City, and another was.
Oh, they actually did tell me.
Yeah. And they landed though.
Apparently some type of what would appear to be maybe a terrorist activity or hijacking has occurred with airplanes which apparently have impacted the World Trade Center in New York City.
On September 11th, 8 domestic flights are scheduled to land in Gander. Instead, 38 planes carrying almost 7,000 people are beginning to fill the tarmac. The spectacle has drawn a crowd from among the town's 10,000 citizens. Oz Fudge is one of just 2 officers on the local police force.
I watched the plane come in, then I seen a jumbo come in, and then I seen another one come in, and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, holy God! If there's 200 people on each one of these planes, and we're going to get 40 or 50 planes, that's an awful lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially for a small town.
Hours after American Flight 11 strikes the North Tower of the World Trade Center, the skies over the United States are empty. For the first time, American airspace is completely closed.
Wow.
In Canada, the Gander Area Control Center somehow lands all 167 planes without incidents.
It was a sigh of relief. You wipe your brow, you thank God they all got in safely, and it was unbelievable to go from this horrific activity, and then the airspace is completely sterilized. Nobody there. No targets on the radar screen.
That must have been so strange.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Here in New York, the sad task of the search for the survivors and the victims goes on and on. In New York, citizen volunteers are flooding toward Ground Zero as emergency workers search for survivors. 1,000 miles from the destruction, the 10,000 residents of the peaceful Canadian town of Gander, with virtually no time to prepare, must also respond with countless acts of generosity, providing food and shelter for thousands of frightened passengers, strangers who have suddenly arrived at their door. Among the stranded, far from home, are the parents of a New York City fireman. Not knowing if their son is at ground zero, Hannah and Dennis O'Rourke fear they may never see him again.
Thousands of transatlantic flights underline the strategic importance of Newfoundland's airports.
Gander was an airport before it was a town. In the late 1930s, British and American military officials chose this site on the eastern edge of the continent to build the largest airport in the world. During World War II, this was a takeoff place for American military aircraft headed for the European theater.
No.
After the war, Gander continued to play a vital role as a refueling stop for transatlantic commercial airliners. But then, the jumbo jets came along. They could cross the Atlantic non-stop, and Gander's role in aviation was greatly reduced until September 11th, when Gander came alive again, a safe harbor for the jumbo jets that had almost put it out of business. And within a matter of hours, this vast tarmac was filled with planes from around the world, parked wingtip to wingtip.
Canada is basically becoming a gigantic runway for every plane and aircraft that was destined for the United States today.
In Gander, no one is allowed off the planes until customs and security are in place.
Yeah.
Run by airport officials and officers from the regional headquarters of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Mounties. They must process each passenger, plane by plane, until authorities are certain there are no terrorists on board.
That's understandable.
Among the trapped passengers is New York State Police Officer George Vitale, who is returning from Ireland, where he was doing advanced security for New York Governor George Pataki.
We were on this plane for 19 hours, sat on the tarmac, not really knowing what was going on outside, but knowing that it was pretty horrific.
The number of casualties will be more than any of us can bear, ultimately. And I don't think we want to speculate on the number of casualties. The effort now has to be to save as many people as possible.
There is another New York couple on the Gander tarmac whose connection to the events back home couldn't be more personal.
I just wanted to get off the plane and see what was happening, because I was hoping my son wasn't working that day.
Dennis and Hannah O'Rourke have been visiting relatives in Ireland. When they learn what has happened, they fear for their 44-year-old son, Kevin O'Rourke, a firefighter from Rescue 2 in Brooklyn.
I guess it goes back many years to when I was a kid. The apartment building I lived in, over the years I was there, I ended up having 3 different fires, so I was carried out as a child by a firefighter. So I have fond memories, you know,
He's been so
to
fond
go back to, you know, all of a sudden, you know, in the smoke, this big guy comes up, grabs me, and carries me down the stairs.
When he was going for his fire test, and he said, "Mom, you pray for me." And I said, "Yeah, Kevin, yeah." He said, "Pray for me to pass." I said, "Yeah, Kevin." So he missed it by, what, 1 or 2 points, and he came home that night and he looked at me. He says, "You didn't pray for me." I didn't pass. I says, "No, Kevin, I prayed for you, you'd fail." So he says, "Mom, that's all I want. That's my calling, is to be a fireman."
There's true passion there.
While the desperate rescue operation continues in New York, Gander begins the process of absorbing all those passengers. So many that in a matter of hours they will nearly double the local population.
Now, Gander is a town of barely 10,000 people. There was over 6,000 of us. Now, if you extrapolate the numbers, New York City is 8 million people, so what's that? 6 million people showing up on your door saying, "Okay, we're here, do something."
The painstaking process of registering and removing each passenger continues through the night.
Finally, we're free, we're free. We're on the ground after more than 24 hours. We have no idea where we're going, but we're going.
24 hours.
It is not until noon on Wednesday, September 12th, when the last passengers are finally allowed into the Gander terminal. They are exhausted and confused, most not knowing where in the world they have landed.
You were.
to Gander, which is just a few minutes away. We're not sure when the FAA is going to open up the United States to travel again. The Department of Transportation in Canada has all air traffic in Canada shut down right now. When you see the footage of what has happened, you'll appreciate why things have been done the way they are.
The only vehicles available to transport the great volume of passengers from the airport are school buses, and the local bus drivers happen to be on strike.
We were told at the time we got a crisis on our hands, and the strike never came into effect whatsoever. All the bus drivers came back, everyone.
Yeah, you
We
will.
all came back, and we did our job. They laid down their picket signs, they went and took their buses, and they drove it. And for the next 4 or 5 days, just helped out wherever they could. And that's what we're made of. That's the type of people we are. Even though those bus drivers had a dispute with their employer, they had no dispute with the people that landed.
That's right away.
We'll do the best we can to look after this. If there's anything you need, anything at all, I mean anything, just ask, and you will be taken care of, bottom line, okay? I'll make you as comfortable as possible.
As passengers arrive in town, the locals rush to meet them with home-cooked meals.
That's nice.
Among them is lifelong Gander resident Beulah Cooper, an organizer at the Canadian Legion Hall.
7 o'clock that night, I got a phone call from the Legion, asked me to do a tray of sandwiches. They have them down there by 8 o'clock. I didn't know what was going on. Brought down a tray of sandwiches and I found out about the planes. Your heart went out to each and every one of them. Because the first thing you do is put yourself in their shoes and know how you would feel.
Currently there are thousands of people in Gander and surrounding area that need your help. Please come to their assistance, lend a hand, lend a meal, offer your services wherever possible.
Passengers are not allowed to remove their check bags from the plane, so the clothes on their backs and in their carry-ons may be all they'll have for days. Ganderites respond, donating clothing and opening their shops free of charge.
That's beautiful.
Show your boxes to the camera.
Hundreds of passengers are also without their prescriptions
yeah,
until
forgot about
owners
that.
of the 2 local pharmacies working day and night and across language barriers can fill them all, again, at no cost.
They were able to go into the stores and just take items off the shelves. I'm not even sure they had to pay for them. The people were so accommodating in Gander.
So that's the wrap up of part 2. We've seen a lot of Gander coming together. They really showed out for everyone. Beautiful people overall, opening their hearts and their homes and their shops to everyone. Everyone that was stranded from the 9/11 attacks were well looked after here, and it's just beautiful to see a community like this come together. What did you think, Danielle?
No, 100%. It's amazing to see that, you know, even drivers that were on strike were like, that doesn't even matter anymore. We're helping these people and that's it. And the free food, the free clothing, even prescriptions, it's just the help that they all gave and all the love that they showed them all. It's just incredible, especially when it happened in such a short space of time. And even the people coming off the plane, they didn't even know what happened. Like, some people were on the plane for until the next day, like 24 hours.
Yeah.
Without knowing a thing. That's, you know, and to be welcomed so well and so warm like that, I can only imagine how they feel.
Wonder, did they find the fireman in the end with his lovely Irish name O'Rourke? His mother didn't pray for him. That's not very Irish mother now. But we're still waiting to hear more about his story, so hopefully we'll get more on that. The scenes and the sights and the pictures and the videos of 9/11, the ground zero zone as well, really scary. Like, I could only imagine waking up on that day of how terrifying and horrific that is, and seeing so many brave people, because as usual it's the people that come together, and without the people the countries are nothing, because they came together and they really showed their strength and their humanity to everyone. And like Danielle was saying, the school bus drivers, they had a strike going on, but they didn't let the people down.
Yep.
I hope they got their raise or whatever they were picking for after that.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's all you can ask for in times of trouble like that, is just people coming and helping. That's it, and it's so lovely to see.
So, wrap it up there. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments on this one, and we will definitely see you all in part 3. Bye.